Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Talk With, the first episode in quite a long time. Now, today I have a very special guest, a wonderful VFX artist, and someone who has worked on many projects in the community and with many Doctor Who YouTubers and fan audience, fan films, and all the above. Law, hello, how are you?
Hi! I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. This has been a long time coming. Long
Yes, it
time find
has.
this out.
Yeah, no, I
Mm,
mean, I've always wanted to invite you on the show, ever since we
mm,
first sort of properly met at the Doctor's Honor all that time ago, and when we first worked
mm-hmm.
together on the Save the Day Again trailer back in the day,
Yeah.
back in
Back in the day,
2023,
me and you,
2023?
baby. Yeah, no, it was. You
Mm.
first asked me if I could if you'd have me on a talk with, and I believe it was the 16th of December 2023. And the second time you asked me was the 17th of December 2023. One day later, in which I went, Rory, my love, yes, we've talked this through. But yeah, crazy to think
Mm.
about. That was God, like a week after the giggle. So we just
Yes, it was.
yeah, we just said goodbye to 14, just said hello to 15, right at the beginning before Church on Ruby Road. That's when we decided we should do this.
Mm.
Um, and now so much time has passed. I'm on estrogen now. We have Shooty came and went,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
got a new doctor, and the show's been put out on competitive tender. Like we're a
Yes,
whole 2 seasons and a
a whole
hiatus
a whole
between
new
the
era
making
for
of
the
this.
show has come and gone, and now we're here. And
I've been
since
I've been
then,
10 different people.
you've worked with so many people in the community. You know, you've worked
I
recently for
have.
a series called Doctor Who Red Twilight.
I
Which,
have. I have indeed.
how's it been working on that?
Oh, it's been lovely. It's been lovely, Rory. It really has. No, I've had such a good time working on Red Twilight. I've been mostly I can't say what I've been working on in particular, but
Mm,
I've been working almost non-stop today on stuff. I was literally doing it about 10 minutes before we started recording. So I've been working on
mm.
content, but it's so much fun. I love working with Kat and Nat and Jack
Oh,
and
they're
Ollie
wonderful.
and
All of
Jake
them.
and George and everyone. It's a real good team, and I just always get to push myself in some really fun ways.
I
In
mean,
which like
they're all
you know,
absolutely wonderful, and you know, the opportunities that
yeah,
they give anyone that works on that series is absolutely insane. I mean, that
yeah,
the title sequence lore, I mean,
yeah.
it's
I'm really
amazing. It's
I'm really proud of
incredible.
that. I'm
Mm,
really proud of
you
that
should
title
be.
sequence.
For
Um,
anyone,
it
sorry, for anyone watching who doesn't know what Red Twilight is, Doctor Who Red Twilight is a fan series ran by Cat and Nat, on 77 years, 77 years, production YouTube channel. Did I get it right?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, I got
yeah,
it.
you got it
I
right.
got it.
Just
Got it
just
right.
just about.
Just about,
Sometimes
yeah.
interchangeable
Just
with team. We change it.
And yeah, no, it's a truly amazing series. If you've been interested in Doctor Who the Community Show, it's Jack Alexander from Doctor Who the Community Show and an awful lot of running podcast who was the Doctor in that. And yeah, no, it's an amazing series. Anyways, as you were saying about the title sequence.
Yeah, the title sequence. Yeah, so it's an audio series. We only have about 4.5 episodes out right now, but surprisingly, a lot of visual work is required for it. Is what I always say. I did this lovely big title sequence. I had a couple different versions of the sequence. I think I talked more about this on a very very long 4 hour podcast episode we did. So I'll give the brief notes here. Because we have found out there are limits to the recording time on Zoom. But I will be brief with it. But yeah, no, it was something that like started out as very kind of like I had like a very kind of like slow, kind of crunchy idea for it, and then I just kept going on and on. I remember I was really stuck on it until I watched this. I'm big into lots of things. One of the things I really like is cyberpunk. Mike
Mm.
Pondsmith's Cyberpunk, and I was watching the anime Cyberpunk Edge Runners. There was this great shot, the great title sequence. It's the Franz Ferdinand. It's great. And I watched it, and I was just like, it like clicked a thing in my head, and I was like, I need to get to work on it. And so like that's always the very fun thing about getting to do VFX work, especially kind of just like kind of constant Doctor Who work, and especially on Red
Mm.
Twilight, is that I'm always getting to just like try new shit out. In which I'm like, oh, I want to try like I want to do this specific like composite with these shots. How do I do it? It's like, oh, I want to pull off this certain camera angle. How do I do that? There's a shot in that title sequence. I remember writing it out, and there's a bit where the TARDIS flies in, it spins around, and then the doors open, and the camera flies inside, and then it spins around the console, and then it flies out again. And I remember
Genuinely.
writing that down and going, I can't wait to see how I pull that off.
Genuinely watching the title sequence and seeing like how on paper this must have been insane.
It
I mean,
was insane.
actually, actively insane. I mean, well done for pulling
It
it
was
off.
really
I
hard.
mean,
Thank you. I'm really proud of the result. I think it's one of my favorite things I've ever worked on, especially because I've had my lovely new computer, because I did a lot of my VFX work on a very terrible, shitty little laptop that would cook me alive,
I
especially the thing I
remember
did for
that
you.
computer.
Yes,
I saw the
I
computer and I saw the files, and I'm genuinely shocked you got it made.
I'm shocked I got it made too. Sometimes I watch back because I did the Save the Day Again trailer for you.
Mm.
It was one of the first. I think it was one of the first like sort of Doctor Who commissions I got done, like properly big
Mm.
ones. I'd done a title sequence or two. I think I did a custom TARDIS for
Mm.
like some guy once or twice, but like that trailer was like the first really big thing. I watch it back sometimes, and like, not to toot my own horn, not in like a, oh, it's so high quality, how did you do it, Law? In like a, how did you do it with that hardware? And I
If you're not
remember
going to toot your horn,
specifically,
I will. I mean, it's incredible.
oh,
Go on.
oh, you could toot my horn, the cameras are rolling, but I remember specifically, I set, there's a shot in it where it flies through a bunch of different doctors, and there's like a billion Daleks with really high poly counts because I didn't know what I was doing, and lots of models with really awful topography, which I don't want to think about. But I remember pulling off that shot, and I needed to render it out, and it was going to take about, I did the maths, it was going to take about 2 days. So I just put it in the corner, and I let it run for 2 days. And I don't know what I did in my free time. I think I must have just like played. I think I played Ghost of Tsushima on my PS4. I think that's what I did for 2 whole days straight, while the laptop rendered out in the corner with a fan pointed at it because it was constantly overheating. And that was that was the really big shot. So I have nicer hardware now, which is really really nice. So I've been able to actually pull off much more complicated things, like all the stuff I've done for Red Twilight, all the little title reveal videos I
Yes.
did, the trailer I did at MCM,
Mm.
the one just gone in May, which I was unfortunately not present to
I
watch.
mean, that's
Um,
quite amazing. I mean, the fact that these trailers and Red Twilight have been shown off at the community show panels. I mean, I believe you
yeah,
were
no, it's really
there.
sweet.
I believe you were there for the first one that got revealed, if I'm not mistaken, right? The first trailer,
Yeah, I was there for the first
not the
trailer. That
recent one.
was
What
November 2025, October
what was it
2025.
like seeing your work be sort of unveiled and put out there in front of this big crowd of people?
It was very weird. It was a little bit of a dream. I mean, I already applied some assets. I supplied Jack with some assets for the community show. The TARDIS render
Mm.
on there. That's my TARDIS. I did that. And it's very inaccurate, so don't look at it too closely. Um, but I originally supplied that one on, so I remember like seeing that on like the MCM like Instagram, where they were posting about all the Doctor Who stuff and everything. That was the first bit where I was like, oh, that's really cool. That like, it's a very tiny, it's a single asset, but it's really cool to get that work out there. And then I remember sitting down to actually watch it, and Kat and I, we were shitting bricks. And I remember we thought it was going to play at the end of the panel,
Mm.
and Jack, no, he decided to play at the beginning. So we were sat there and we were like, oh, I mean, like, I'm really looking forward to the panel. Like, there's lots of fun people on this one. I can't wait to see. But, like, oh, God, like, I feel like I'm not going to be ready for the trailer. And then suddenly the screen went dark. and this audio that we'd been listening to about a billion times when we were editing it. Because that always happens when you're editing. You always have to listen to the beginning over and over again.
Oh yeah,
So many
I
times.
know.
And so as soon as it begun, and I started hearing like rocks, stars, planets, we just immediately grabbed each other. But it was really nice, and everyone was so sweet. Everyone kept coming up to us and going like, "Oh, that was such a good trailer,"
And it
well,
is.
you know,
It is such a good trailer.
it was very sweet. Everyone was very very nice about it on the day. I didn't get to show up for the second trailer, which I think I'm a bit more. Am I more proud of that one? I'm not sure. I think I got to spend a lot more time on that second trailer, and I got to do a lot more, and I got to push myself a lot. There's a bit where the Tardis materializes in a shot on that, and I tried to recreate the original 2005 look. We could always see like the light outline of the Tardis before it fades in, which they don't do on the show these days. I'm getting very technical for all the viewers at home, but you will notice that the effect of the TARDIS taking off and landing changes across the revival. If you ever watch like a Christopher Eccleston episode, whenever it takes off, it kind of illuminates like a kind of white light as it fades out of existence, which is a little thing they added for the revival. But it slowly got phased out. So if you ever watch like Peter Capaldi episode, or hell, even like kind of like late Matt Smith stuff, all the way through, even through like Jodie Whittaker's era, and even like Ncuti Gatwa's and everything, it's just a very simple kind of cross dissolve, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they do fun things with it. There was a really fun materialization they started doing in Wild Blue Yonder and Space Babies, where the TARDIS spins in as it materializes, which I thought was really cute. I always liked it. I felt like such a VFX nerd. Cause I thought it was great, like where it would fly. Like I remember the bit where it's flying towards the Space Baby station, and as it like flies in, it like disappears for a moment, goes through a wall, and then it phases back and like hits the ground. It spins around, and I was just like, "That's cool. That's really cool."
I mean, the VFX in this recent era has been actually phenomenal. I mean, it's been a phenomenal
I've really
era
enjoyed
for VFX.
You know, it's had its moments, as all things do.
Yeah.
But I think especially like as a VFX artist, getting to kind of watch that, like Doctor Who's always kind of been known for having kind of dodgy effects, which I think is a little bit of a disservice to the level of craftsmanship that goes into a lot of the show in a lot of ways. But like I think, you know, it does a lot of really cool stuff visually in very subtle ways.
It's always that thing, really, with anything that you do, with any VFX art, of any written work or any, that the mistakes become a part of it. You know, they sort of become a part of the art, even if, you know, it wasn't intentional, or if it was a bit too ambitious here and now, or, you know, it. Not that there is ever such a thing, but, you know, it's kind of, well, there is, depending on budget, but, you know, attempting it is a part of the art in itself, and I think it's wonderful when Doctor Who does that, and I think it's very much a part of the charm to this show.
I think so, because I think there's always that thing where this is outside of Doctor Who as well, but when people say that they want things to be like more experimental and all that sorts of stuff, it's like, oh, I need things that are like experimental and fresh. A lot of the time, experimental might just mean bad, because being experimental means that you might just get something that's not very good, right? Like it would be, you know, that's the point of it being experimental. It hasn't been done before. You're experimenting it. It might not work. And there's just a lot of stuff where, because I think there's also a bit of survivorship bias with all VFX work, in that all the good VFX work is the stuff you don't notice, and all of the VFX work you do notice and you can recognize as like, oh, that's good, or like that's bad. Those are the more noticeable ones. There's like a bunch of other stuff you don't see, because everyone will go like, oh, you know, the VFX were so bad on X episode or Y episode. It's like, did you notice that the street got a digital set extension? Did you notice that? No, you didn't. Like you didn't see that, because it's really good, and a lot of it is really good. And there's always going to be a dodgy bit here and there in something, and that's never down to individual artists' skill, or even a collection of artists working together as a team. It's not really down to their skill. It's almost always down to time. If ever you've went, especially on Doctor Who, where if you went, oh, that effect was a bit dodgy.
Mm.
That dinosaur didn't look very good, or anything like that. If you ever speak to a VFX artist, they'll just be like, "Yeah, we just didn't have time. We know it. We know it looks bad. We just didn't have time."
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Like that.
No,
that happens
absolutely.
quite often. And I think it's a shame that all those shots
I think
are often the ones that get talked about the most.
there was an interview about Joy to the World where that exact sort of statement was put out.
Yeah.
And you think about it, you think about all the even like up to the Capaldi era with the Doctor Fools, where they were doing VFX up until like the week before it aired.
Yeah, and you can tell. Like I remember like sitting there watching that episode live, and when he gets shot in the chest by the Cyberman, I remember going like, "Oh god, that's a dodgy effect," but oh my god, he's been shot. Like you pick up on it, you obviously notice it. But that's the thing. If you as an average viewer are noticing it, then the VFX artists also notice. They would also change it if they could. But
It's no
this is
fault
just
for them or the show, really.
it's never really a fault to that. Everyone knows what they're doing. Did you see that Sutek? That was crazy.
Oh,
I know a lot of people don't like the updated Sutek design and all that sort of stuff, and I think that's fair. Like you can have preferences like that, but I think on a technical level, there's just a lot of shots. I remember watching that, where I was genuinely just like, wow,
when Sutek
that really looks like
spins
it's
the
there.
TARDIS,
I was thinking that exact bit where he opens up the doors to the TARDIS and then spins it around and huddles over it. Like I was sitting there and I was like, damn, they got the paint gloss real good there. Like and that's the thing. Like there's so many times when the TARDIS is VFX, and you just don't notice. There's a really great shot in Under the Lake. I rewatched this. I didn't watch the whole episode. I've been very busy. I haven't had time. But I rewatched this bit when the TARDIS first lands in Under the Lake. There's a really subtle VFX thing that's done. It's really great because the TARDIS lands and it lands at a bit of an angle at the end of this corridor. The camera's like, it's kind of, going on a dolly, kind of going towards the TARDIS. And you watch it fade in. You watch it land and arrive. And it's the prop on the set. And then as the camera comes to a stop and the TARDIS lands, the doors open. And Peter Capaldi comes out, and he walks around the side of the box and starts holding onto it, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? What's happening?" And then Clara sticks her head out the door, and you can see straight into the interior of the TARDIS. And while the Doctor is on the side of the TARDIS, which wouldn't physically be possible on the actual TARDIS set, you can see, like, Jenna Coleman walk all the way into the TARDIS set and turn around and come back out. And you don't even realize it's a comp shot. You think the effect is, oh yeah, the TARDIS fades into the corridor. They shoot a clean plate, then they shoot one with the TARDIS. No, there's a whole extra comp where they've got the doors taken out and they're walking out, and you're like, you don't notice it, and it's such
I
a.
didn't notice that at all.
It's such a subtle effect, and it's really well done. And because like what you notice is VFX in that episode are the shots of the ghosts. Or, the Fisher King. I remember when the Fisher King gets hit by the flood at the end of the episode. You can very obviously see that they have just taken the asset and just kind of scaled it up with the water. And it doesn't look great. And that's okay. But, it's like for all of those bits where you can go like, oh, the effects are really bad. It's like that's survivorship bias. You're only seeing the planes that come back home. Because there's all these other shots you're not seeing, which are really well done. And they're really quite impressive.
When you look back at VFX from long ago, or the 2000s, all that time, all that
20 years ago, I saw this live.
But when you look back at that, and obviously quite a bit of that will be more dated now. That's what happens to anything and everything. It becomes more dated. But the fact that they would even attempt that, or the fact that they would even go for it and do it to the best of their ability, is a level of craftsmanship that should always be adored. I mean, the Beast in series 2. I always hear people sort of slightly bashing that a bit, and I'm like, are we watching the same thing? This is actually technically really quite impressive.
This is really good. Imagine going like, oh yeah, Doctor Who, it's that 4 pounds in a dream, it's all bubble wrap, and you put it on and David Tennant's talking with this massive thing, and you're just like, that's cool as shit, what are you talking about?
don't get me wrong. I mean, I can look back at certain creatures like the Nestine consciousness and sort of think
Yeah.
that looks like curry sauce.
That looks
Um,
like curry sauce. Like, you see it, and you're like, yeah, that's CGI. Like,
yeah.
you know it.
And there's that one
You know it
shot
is.
where I don't know what particularly happens, but I don't think like the scaling's right and it's like massive in frame and like it takes up like most of the frame
It does, yeah. There's
and
lots of stuff like that. And it happens.
but you know,
Um,
it happens
but there's,
and
there's,
even
there's all sorts
though
of other stuff.
even though VFX like that can be seen as dated, the fact that
Mm,
they went for it and the fact that they achieved it
yeah.
and even it in its own right, while dated, is excellent. I mean, it's amazing. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It reached that point where it was on screen, you know, it became the finished
It's
product.
there's a lot of really subtle shit, especially with the TARDIS. I think the TARDIS has a lot of extra effects that are put into it which people don't notice. I don't think
Mm.
people know this, but every single time they opened up the TARDIS doors in Ncuti Gatwa's era, it was done with green screen and CG. I don't know if people know that.
I had no idea.
Um,
Didn't
yeah,
notice at all.
you know, they get the prop right, and what they usually do is that they just have like a cardboard cutout of the interior, like a
Mm.
photo of it printed out, and they just paste it on the back of the TARDIS, right? That's what they did in like, um, they did it a bit in like Eccleston and Tennant, where it's just like an image on the back of the box to give the
Mm.
effect that when you get a peek of the doors open, you see the interior. Like, oh yeah, that's the interior, and it's just a curved around like panorama
Mm.
shot.
Well,
And they built into it more with Matt Smith's second TARDIS because that's the little
mm.
walkway at first, so you can catch glimpses of it and you can see the end thing. And that's when they started pulling off like the comp shots, you know, the
Mm.
famous bit in The Snowmen, the first ever time in Doctor Who history, where the camera goes all the way through the doors. That's really cool. But you know, even with Whitaker as well, they also had a bit of a walkway, so you can get the walls, and it's fine. And again, it's just a cardboard image on the back.
Mm.
In Ncuti Gatwa's run, one thing I really noticed was every single time in any of the behind-the-scenes photos, when he had both the doors open, you couldn't see the interior of the TARDIS. I remember when Devil's Court was being filmed, um, there was loads of like set photos and one with the TARDIS doors open, and you could see there was purple light. And you know, it's the
Mm.
bit where they walk out across Abbey Road. You could see a purple light in it, but there wasn't any printout of the interior, which was weird. Everyone was like, "Oh, shouldn't that be our first glimpse at what the TARDIS is going to look like being able to peek it through the TARDIS doors?" And then in the actual episode, they've set the TARDIS lights to purple. They land it. They have the bit to California Soul, and then they walk out. And when they open up the door, you can see straight into the interior, and
Mm.
it's the side of the interior that wasn't physically built. Right, because they only built 2/3 of that interior, you know, like it's that side, and I'm just like, did they rotoscope around Ncuti Gatwa to get it in the back? That's crazy. Like, it was like a, and they do that with so many shots, like 73 yards and all sorts of stuff. Like, even when it's just like for a few frames where they just have the thing open, I'm like, that's a tracked CG shot. That's crazy. What do you mean you did that?
God, it's
You just
mad.
stick up a thing at the back, and it's such a subtle thing, which I don't think anyone
No, I had
really noticed that
no
they did
idea.
so many very subtle VFX shots. Because again, you might not think there's a VFX shot when like the Doctor and Ruby land the TARDIS at the beginning of like 73 yards. Like
Mm.
TARDIS lands in like a wide shot, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's VFX. Obviously, the TARDIS can't do that in real life. I'm an adult. But then when it cuts to the close up and they open up the box and they walk out, you might not think there's any VFX there. But yeah, TARDIS. The
Mm.
camera's moving. You can see the background moving. That's VFX.
I mean, it's a real testament to the VFX artists of that one, you know,
It really
especially all
is.
of them. I mean,
A lot of the time when I was pulling off stuff in Red Twilight. Sorry for a real long tangent about the history of
no,
VFX, but
no,
like
no, no,
when
no,
I was
by all means.
when I was doing a lot of the VFX for Red Twilight, like especially bits like when the TARDIS flies through the TARDIS doors, and the camera flies through the TARDIS doors. It's silly. Or where I'd do things where like I'd fly the TARDIS around, and you could see like the white outline, which is actually an effect I'm reusing for a different project, which I can't talk about just yet. But like whenever I would pull off anything like that, I would just kind of sit there and go like, what would they do on the show? Like, how would you pull this off on the show?
Mm.
And a little bit of it you use is a little bit of is like video game logic as well. I'm big fan of video games. I really love video games. One of my favorite video games of all time is Portal, which I adore.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and if you don't know the concept of Portal, it's about opening up two portals to solve puzzles.
I see the
Um,
logic now.
you see the logic, right? But when that was done in 2007, that was a really impressive effect because like it's smooth. Like you can look through the portal, it looks like a doorway, you can move it around, you can pass things through, and it's like, how do you pull that off? And they do all sorts of really cool rendering techniques, which I won't get into. But they do lots of really cool. They use like a second camera and all sorts of stuff, and they have all these sorts of really fun textures and everything. And when I was approaching doing things like how do I do a shot where the TARDIS looks like it's bigger on the inside, one of the first things I thought of was like, well, what would they do on the show? And I tried to think of those shots, and then I was like, how'd they do this in Portal? How did they pull that off? And that helped a lot in a lot of ways. So I know it's a very fun kind of it's a great bit of artistic expression, but also half of it is sort of maths. In a really awful way. It's maths and just sort of logic problems and just really awful stuff where it's like, okay, well, if you want this stuff to glow, but you don't want this stuff to glow, and it's laid out like this, what do you do? And you just have to sit there and just go like, I'm looking at cow tools right now. I don't know how to do any of this, and you gotta figure it out. And I think that's a very fun thing about
Well, I think
VFX work.
talking about VFX work, and there is a conversation I want to bring up that is about something that I am vehemently against personally. I am
Okay.
instinctively very against the idea of this.
Are you gonna raise my blood pressure?
I feel like I might.
Okay, okay, I
I
can take it. I can take it.
I want to bring up the concept and discuss AI and how that impacts
I
VFX
need
and
one of
your
those
sort
talk to me
of
about AI and I'll kill myself shirts. I need one of those.
and bear in mind, I have a very negative opinion about it. I think it doesn't really have a place in the creative
Of
industry at
course.
all, not even
I don't think I'd
remotely.
be friends with you if you did.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Likewise, I'm vehemently against the idea of AI being used in this industry. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on AI from a VFX artist's perspective.
Oh God. Um,
Bringing
I know I'm
out, bringing
allowed
out
to
the big
swear, but I
questions.
know you told me not to push it. Yeah, it was it's a very frustrating thing. I've had to deal with you know, it's it's always the talk like your kind of aunts and your aunts' friends kind of give you when they come over for dinner.
Mm,
And I think if you think about any topic that ever comes up, uh,
been there.
from kind of any kind of thing, it's always just like really annoying. Just in a very simple way, it's always just like, oh, what do you think? You're in film.
Mm,
What do you think of this AI business? I'm interested by it, and I just have to sit there and go, like, yeah, well, yeah. It is just that sort of, it is kind of like begrudging Christmas dinner family talk
mm,
a lot of the time. Um, the only time conversations ever really come up with it that where you're just like, oh. But yeah, it is obviously a ridiculous thing. There's just such a large number of negatives towards it because I've always talked with people like, oh, well, what if it was like ethically trained data? Because of course, one of the kind of main aspects of it, which I think I don't know every it has like three things where if it had that like individual thing exclusive on its own, it would still be morally reprehensible. But it's like it's trained off of stolen data, of course. I think it
yeah.
was a very unfortunate thing that was found out. I mean, a very useful tool, but I believe a website was launched quite recently that is able to display all of the songs that were used to train. I think it was Sora or something like that.
Mm.
And my whole Twitter feed was really sad for about a day because it was all these wonderful musicians and artists I follow. I think you ever heard of the Stupendium? They do a lot of
Yes.
like
Yeah.
fan songs and stuff, like
Mm.
for mostly for video games and things like that. Really, really good one. If any of you have ever heard of one, it's probably been the Outer Worlds one, but it's really, really good shit.
Mm.
But like I think they found out that every single song they've ever made was trained on this machine. Uh, and that was a really heartbreaking thing to see. I saw someone else talk about how they've worked on over 130 songs, and every single one of them popped up in this machine. And it was, my whole feed was just a bunch of really heartbroken artists, just kind of talking about how just their work's been stolen and they've have absolutely no way of controlling that, because everything on the internet is just accessible. I think that's the really awful thing of
Yeah.
how they've kind of gotten around with training it. It's all through these ridiculous legal loopholes of well, it's trained on public data, and what they don't mean is public domain, like free use. They mean things that we can find. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you stole my car. It's like, no, we didn't steal your car. We only took publicly available assets, and your car is you can see it from the sidewalk. Like, that's kind of the logic that gets used, and I think it's just such a devastating thing to have all that kinds of stuff kind of lost, and I think it hurts both people, because either your work gets stolen, the work you spent so long creating, it gets stolen without your permission, without a conversation, without anything. But even if it didn't, even if it was publicly available, or public domain, or whatever, even if it was like officially licensed things that were being given away, I think it's so awful on the other end, because I have so much empathy, I guess, for people who end up getting attached to it, because it's essentially, it really sort of, I think it causes such a level of like atrophy, I think, in ability, and I think it robs so many people of a really beautiful experience, because I've been doing VFX work for roughly, this is an approximate sort of thing, it kind of depends on how you measure it by, but I've been doing it since 2017. This is my 9th year doing this stuff. I've been doing this stuff for a while. And even before then, even when I was a kid, I was sort of recreating stop frame animation through like reverse engineering by just going like, oh, how do I animate my toys? I'll take a photo of them, then move them, then take another photo. No one's ever done this before, and presenting a very long episode of Doctor Who I had done using stop frame animation, and telling my mother, like, I call it picture by picture animation, and she was like, this is a thing, you know that, right? And I was like, what? And then she was like, you know what Wallace and Gromit is, right? And I was like, no, it's like CGI, right? Like, I had no idea what was going on. But it was, like, I mostly like started properly in 2017. And I branched out from so many works. I went from making Doctor Who title sequences with my own name in it at the age of like 12 years old in Windows Movie Maker to making, like the Red Twilight title sequence and all of this other stuff. And the really wonderful thing about that is getting to be really, really shit at it for a really long time. Yeah. Because there is like, there is no greater joy than being absolutely god awful. And it's something I've really helped swallow. It's something I've been able to swallow, and just it's been able to open up so many doors to me, in which I'm like, I don't think I'm very scared to pursue things. I can be in a lot of social ways. I'm a very anxious person, but when it comes to skills, artistic skills mostly, I do just sort of try anything, because it's like, I had a real love for music when I was younger, and that was kind of an alternate path I never went down. But today, I have FL Studio downloaded, and I've been assembling very basic compositions, and like arrangements and shit, and I don't know any of the terminology because I'm in the point where I'm really shit at it. And it's really beautiful putting together some really god-awful things, because you're just like, it'll be really bad for now, and then ages later I'll be very, very good, and hopefully my best friend will be actually getting me a keyboard, which I can use, wonderful. So I can rig that up. Yeah, it'll be great. I can rig that up into my thing, and I can actually begin learning some more complex arrangements and stuff like that. And
And
it's like I don't know if I'll ever become a music artist or anything, but
it's
it's a
worth a
lovely
try.
thing. It's a lovely thing to be able to even not for like to think about like, oh, how will this benefit my
Mm,
career. It's really lovely to just be able to sit down and just sort of like, how do I make this song? How do I make this sound? It's like learning to write for the first time. And I don't mean write as in like prose. I mean being a kid and
actually,
putting crayon to paper. It's you're learning the ABCs again, and that that you're gonna suck for ages. You're a baby. You're goo
I
goo
mean,
gaga.
you
But
know,
eventually, after so long, uh, you get really good. I made a really beautiful render of the Tardis
mm,
the other day of the Christopher Eccleston TARDIS, and I did this comp where I tried to add it into a Christopher Eccleston episode, and
mm,
it was a complete match because I gotten the box just that accurate, and I gotten my rendering techniques just that accurate, and I gotten the lighting, and it was a real bit where I got to look at that and go like, I used to scribble images of the TARDIS on crayon paper in lower school, and now I can make this, and it's taken me a good 20 years of my life. Um, and there's no real greater joy in that. I try everything. I do drawing, I do music, I do VFX work, I do audio mixing, I'll do anything. It's sort of there's a really lovely thing in just getting to spend a really long time harnessing a skill and getting really shit at it. I have about like 6 volumes
mm,
of sketchbooks around me. None of
mm.
it's good. And I've been doing it for about 3 years now, but very little by little I will draw a nose or a hand, and I'll go like, I could never have done that 3 years ago alone. And I think the really awful, I think the real kind of true crime of AI isn't like, it is the theft and it's the environmental impacts. I checked my weather app today, and I think it said 36 degrees, and I'm sort of
So, me and Laura just had a break because unfortunately, Zoom has you can only record 40 minutes of a Zoom call if you don't pay for the subscription. But, anyways, we were talking about AI and AI in art and VFX. And there's a few notes that I have and a few notes that I want to talk about. I mean, especially as I don't see generative AI as a tool at all. I think it's a big detriment to what we do. And I think you put it really well in how you were talking about how you start off, doing um, drawings that aren't that great, and then you move on to
mm,
making more and more art, and then you learn and you evolve and you become better creatively. But there's nothing about being better that invalues what you did in the past. In fact, if anything, it
yeah,
strengthens it and it makes it more wonderful. And I think the word process is key to this conversation because
yeah,
the reason we do what we do is because of the process. I mean,
yeah,
I imagine very much in tune to, when you're making VFX um, scenes and art and, when you're making a title sequence, it's very much about the process as much, it's not just
mm,
about, with AI, it's end result. You can just
yeah. You
create
just you
end
just get it,
result.
and you
And
don't
there's
often get much control over the
mm,
result. If you want to change even
oh,
one minor thing, it has to do the whole thing again. It's completely different, and you don't want that. You want to be able to
well, that's the thing.
define
We're
it.
we're kind of getting to that point of AI cannibalization, anyways, where it's just going to keep learning from itself and then just self-destruct to a point in which it's not fixable. You
Nothing
know.
makes me feel happier than seeing that piss filter. Just knowing
hmm
it's just recycled itself over and over again. It's just very. There is just something very beautiful to see it, and just like I literally see it sort of decaying,
mm Well,
jaundiced almost. It's quite
my
beautiful.
my only real note is my last note on this is that there's something quite fascistic, not just about AI, but like how companies and people and how it's kind of spread the word inevitability. Inevitability
Yeah,
really throws me off because there's so many darker undertones to that
yeah,
conversation and how AI is sort of pushed into industries like VFX in how we've spoken about. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that and how sort of just a sort of small conversation deconstructing the fact that this is not inevitable, that creativity and creative people such as yourself are still out there and still making stuff.
Yeah, it's it is sort of like, oh, we made the Puppy Crusher 3000 and it's just inevitable everyone's gonna have one. It's like, is it? I don't want to crush my puppy. It's like, oh well, yeah, well, it's just the way it is now. You just, that's just
Mm.
it's like, is it? It's just sort of, it is a very, once you're able to kind of see the trajectory of it, you just sort of, it sort of really angers you, but you're sort of feel relieved that you can feel Sue. And I think I do have a bit of pity for people who just can't, on just saying something is a certain way until it is. There is that just sort of things like, if we keep saying AI is inevitable, oh, we're all gonna be using it, whether you like it or not. It'll be in our phones and our balls and whatever. It's not. But if you keep saying it, it is. Like,
Mm.
even the thing, it isn't even like this world that's been sort of talked about is not even feasible.
Mm.
That's sort of the thing. I think you'll notice this a lot with a lot of these sorts of, I guess, yeah, I guess kind of like anti-art or kind of general kind of like right wing kind of sentiments, is that often it's not about whether or not it like works or not. It's like I'm gonna go. This will be a slightly dark topic, so I won't touch on it for too long. But like kind of eugenics, for example, if that's all right to talk about quite briefly. That shit's bunk. Like that was proven to be bunk like decades back, right? Like it doesn't work. It isn't even like brutal but effective. I think is a lot of things you hear, kind of, or things you would hear about sort of totalitarian regimes, like, oh, they were brutal but they were effective, or like, or like eugenics, or like, oh yeah, it's messed up but it works, and it just doesn't. It just sort of doesn't. Um, it's a very good sort of sign you can see if someone doesn't really understand something that's touching with much more complex political themes, and you can kind of see how you could fall for something like that with AI, and that, like, I always see it in like Star Wars. Star Wars is an interesting one. People will say like, oh, the Empire were bad, but they worked. Like the Empire works. It's like they were brutal, but they were harsh. They were blowing up planets and all that sorts of stuff. But like, the trains arrived on time. The space trains arrived on time, or whatever. And the truth is that like it doesn't in the Star Wars universe. And
Mm.
you see them say that kinds of stuff for fictional things and don't realize that that same line of thinking, that incorrect sort of rhetoric, can be applied to real life things as well. And AI is just sort of, I think, just another very long line of that, in just sort of insisting something is a certain way. In that this is like provably not true.
Mm.
Because a world in which like everything uses AI, like, your phone and your camera and you get it in your glasses and whatever. A world like that will never work, in which like everyone's using it, or even something where it becomes normalized, where it's just a tool, like you said, like it's just one of the many things. You have your paintbrushes, your computer, your AI. Like it's never gonna really be a thing, I don't think, where it's just a general thing. The bubble bursts and it just kind of becomes a more general technology, because its environmental impact is too bad. It's really hot right now, and it's really hot for a reason. And sort of like this
Mm.
isn't like an effective way. It isn't like a, and you sort of see that with people who sort of would sort of try and kind of advertise like fascism or eugenics or any kind of other sort of, it is a grift. Like anyone who kind of sells you on this stuff, where it's like, oh, it's brutal but it works, or oh, you might not like it but it'll make society better, or anything like that. It's like these things are like scientifically and like historically proven not to work, Like, even if you do win, like, it wouldn't work. You know, it's sort of I don't know. I'm a bit into history. In sorts of this stuff, I've had to be as a trans person. It's sort of I've been doing a lot to kind of educate myself on the struggle of it all. So while I think it's a slightly separate conversation, I think there's a lot of overlap. But it's like you I always find it quite interesting in fiction when they do like kind of like I think Peacemaker did it recently, where they kind of go to another world where it's like, oh, it's like a Nazi world. It's like, what if the Nazis won? And it's like, I get the sentiment, but also like it, like society just like wouldn't work. Like it's just the economy would crash. This thing would not be standing 80 years on. You know, a world in which they won just doesn't really exist. There's just a world in which like they quote unquote win, get to go no 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 no, and then collapse several years later because this stuff doesn't work. It's you have sort of created a car that doesn't have an engine and you've pushed it down a hill and you're driving it and you're just like, yeah, this is cars. This is how they work. And you might beat someone else in a race because you're falling faster, but eventually the road kind of slims out and you're faced with the reality that there's nothing in there. You know, and it's like, and that's kind of it with AI. There's never going to be a world in which it can do it because the processing power just doesn't exist. The actual materials, like there's been a RAM shortage very recently, which has been affecting things like VFX, because VFX of course requires like RAM and good computers, and it's of course required like, it's also required for a lot of video games. It's a big video game girl. Those are really annoying. I'm not getting into this right now. I did lose a bet about this at the end of last year, but I had a bet that Half-Life 3 was going to come out, and I am very certain that the giant RAM delay has delayed the game, and I'm just hoping I'm right. But it's like, you know, these sorts of things, like the RAM that was bought by these companies so they can make AI everywhere, make AI super good. The RAM doesn't exist. They have bought stocks that don't actually exist to build things that don't actually work, to do things they could never do. Yeah. The whole thing is a grift. In and out.
Absolute grift.
It's very you will notice this a lot historically with fascism and even into the modern day. They will often they will paint a rose-tinted version of history to sell you on a idealistic idea of the future, and it's all fictional. Mm-hmm. The sort of perfect world of like the kind of, you know, 1950s, you know, nuclear family setup in which everyone's normal and fine, and that's been like corrupted in recent years or whatever. It's like that world never really existed. That doesn't, like, we can think it looks like that because we can watch movies or whatever, but those are also fictional. This is your only reference point to it. But they will sell you on this history that does not exist and say, like, we need to go back to it, and all we need to do is do these several terrible things, and that's alright, because they're brutal and effective, or it's inevitable, or whatever, to sell you on a future that doesn't exist and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of just the same with AI, in that it's selling you on a... I've actually just kind of made the connection of just a very slightly sort of idea that talent is an innate thing, that skill or interest is something that can be passed along with your biology, which isn't a true thing at all. Obviously, that's not really a true thing, and I think we need to kind of get that idea out of our heads. Again, another sort of slightly sort of... I think people have a very bad idea of what... sort of generally a very bad idea of what biology is, and I've experienced that a lot as a trans woman and an artist and like all sorts. You just listen to people talk about it and you're like, you know nothing, do you? Like, I don't mean to sound like I'm better than you, but like, you really do know nothing about this, right? You and the great thing about it is that it's not innate for them to not know about this stuff. They can learn. And that's always something I try to encourage. Absolutely. But it's it is an idea of like, oh, but like I'm innately bad at art. Like, no one's born good at this stuff. The idea of like all these prodigies, that the only people who are like successful or famous or financially wealthy like were particularly talented like in other ways from their peers, it's just not true. There have been God, I think a lot about all of the filmmakers and all of the
Mm,
artists that could have been that never were because of all this sorts of stuff. Like, I think you could have had some, uh, I don't know, there could have been some really phenomenal filmmakers, because sometimes people come through, like, sort of in a more general thing about movies, like, Jane Schonenbaum. I believe that's how you say their surname. I think I may have messed that up. But they directed I Saw the TV Glow,
mm.
about 2 years ago, which is a phenomenal film. And they're just about to make a new film, which I'm very excited to see, called Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. I'm very excited for that as well. I won't talk too much about it, but they're a phenomenal filmmaker. Um, and there's so much great stuff. You know, I Saw the TV Glow alone is all sorts of great stuff about the trans experience that just understands it on such a level, but not just understands it, but is able to convey it through the actual art of film. It's not just a film that's doing everything very standard, but just saying this stuff. It's actually understanding the art of film and being able to convey it in such a way, which is really, really beautiful. And it makes you go like, oh, why aren't there more filmmakers like that? And there are, but they're just working class and never got lucky, never got their big break or whatever. Like, I don't know how many more like Sam Raimi's or Spielberg's or Schonenbaum's or anyone are out there, because they just never really got lucky,
Mm.
if anything. And I think there is that idea that like AI art levels the playing field and allows people who never had that to become the next Spielberg and whatever by stealing from all of his films and whatever. I think that it feels very perhaps naive and childish, perhaps a kind of like out of a kid's movie. I think it's more in me,
Mm.
but it's like the power is in you, right? I was not. I was not born a good VFX artist. I was
Mm.
a shit VFX artist when I started. And if you've seen any of my stuff and went, wow, that's pretty good, or even just went, that's alright, or something, just know that it wasn't always alright, or pretty good, or whatever. And at one point, you know, if you've ever opened up a program and slapped something together, or if you've ever opened up a Google Doc and ever wrote something out, went, man, this is shit.
I
Everyone's
mean,
been there.
I didn't want to be, I didn't go down the filmmaking path for quite a while. I did all sorts of things in
Yeah.
secondary and college, and went down all sorts of
I
paths.
passed over that too, yeah.
And it was a matter of obviously filmmaking was there since the very beginning in terms of like when I
Mm.
was watching films with my dad and I saw all of these films and TV shows that had been made, and it sort of inspired me more and more. And I was kind of like, sort of in the same way that we were talking about you accidentally inventing stop motion animation. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's an evolution. You evolve as a human
Yeah.
being creatively, mentally, physically. You get to a point
Mm.
where you eventually go down the path that leads you to something that you're genuinely happy doing, and you want to do everything. You really are passionate about it. And I think
Mm.
that's wonderful. I think AI as a concept sort of it's trying to create an endpoint for that and sort of make it an even playing field where you don't have to go down all those journeys,
Exactly.
do all those things, and learn from all those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think, the mistakes that we make creatively, whatever, they make us who we are. They
Mm.
lead to this very point where we're having this very conversation now because I decided to bring back a podcast that I've up and started numerous times
Yeah.
and can't seem to get on a proper schedule because I keep making mistakes. But that's wonderful and it's brilliant
Exactly.
and it's flawed. This podcast is flawed. And I think,
Yeah.
I didn't
Took
write a
us
single
three years to make this single episode.
and I didn't write a single note before we started. I was just kind of like, because I don't, because that's what this podcast is all about. It's about
Yeah.
flaws, talking generally and having a talk with, it's,
Mm.
those flaws creatively should be entangled in everything that we do, and it's wonderful that they are. And the moment
Yeah,
we try to remove them is the moment where things could become a bit dodgy.
yeah,
Removing them using, director's cuts and whatever, that's brilliant. That's still the vision, that's still the creativity.
yeah.
But the moment
Because
we,
a lot of time it's used to sidestep studio interference.
yeah,
Aliens is I think one of the best films ever.
Blade Runner.
Um, and Blade Runner, yeah. But like the theatrical cut of Aliens is okay. Like it's
Mm.
okay because they had to cut all of the good shit out. Um, I remember when I showed Aliens to my partner at the time. I remember they watched and went, this film's fucking fire. I love this film. Why did we have to watch the director's cut? I couldn't imagine it being any other way. And I explained to them all the stuff that wasn't in it when it first came out in theaters because it had to get cut for time. And they were like, but that's all the good stuff. And I was like, exactly.
Mm.
and it's, being able to do something like a director's cut is really quite
Absolutely.
lovely.
There's,
Um,
there's a lot
you
of
know,
love, passion, integrity, and
yeah,
vision that goes into director's cuts. But the moment we program a computer to fix every mistake in anything that we do and sort of remove the human element from it, and we start making AI
yeah,
movies and, AI writes it like we need to understand it if we're looking at our phones. It removes every sense of creativity. It kind of
yeah.
creates an endpoint where the product, it's just the product. It's not the
It's just for
process.
profit.
It's just for
It
profit.
is it
And
is it is purely looking at which I think is the other thing in that I earn very little from any of the creative work I do. Um and if I could have it, I wish I could do it completely for free because I
mm,
love this shit. I I wish no one had to pay me for any of my work. I wish when people asked me to do the VFX for a film, I could just go, let's just do it. I always get really anxious and sort of amble around and I get all sorts of delays in my head whenever I have to discuss prices with anyone about anything because I hate asking for money because I
mm,
really don't want to do it for money. I want to do it because I love doing this.
mm.
But it's in a perfect world we could be supplied with I love that video from what's it, Northern Line. It's like you don't need a girl with a wolf cut to beat you up. You need universal basic income and and universal healthcare or whatever it is. But it's in a perfect world. I could have a living space and I could have food and water and medicine
Mm.
and be able to do this stuff just because I love doing it. Um, and I think it's I don't think I ever really
You do Doctor Who tours around
I
London,
do. Am I going to do a bit
which
of free advertising for the company?
I believe this is the time. I believe this is the conversation.
This is the time where
So, what first thing, how did you get into that? How did you get into doing Doctor Who tours around London?
oh, I really hope none of my employees slash bosses see this because I don't think
Hello.
I've told this story before. Hi, hello.
Hi, your
Um,
employers.
uh, Dude, don't do that. That makes it sound like I'm the fucking G-man from Half-Life. My employers. But no, so it was very interesting when I went into London, I think in 2016. Because I live in London now, but I didn't always. I used to live somewhere else, and so I went for a day out with my mum, and we went on a Doctor Who tour. She booked one for me. It's a lovely thing. We went walking around London. We had a great tour guide. We saw loads of locations from classic Doctor Who, from modern Doctor Who, um, all sorts of stuff. It was great. And then years later, at the beginning of 23, I moved to London, and I was looking for a job, not a full-time one, because I was feeling quite delicate due to a lot of personal things. I was like, I just need something now and again, and hopefully I can kind of rev up and do more over the years. And I was like, hey, what if I reach out to that to
Mm.
that company that did my tours and I just do them? So I wrote to them and they still did the tours, and they just also happened to have an opening. So I was like,
Mm.
okay. So I wrote out a little CV. It was very funny. Um, of course, I did a lot of. I think you talked a lot when you talk about bouncing around a lot before landing on filmmaking. I bounced around a lot too, and for a lot of my childhood, I did a lot of acting, which I don't do much these days, almost at all.
Mm.
I think the only I do little bit parts, but I think the probably biggest role I've had in maybe 10 years is Connie the Coffee Machine from Red Twilight. Um, but I did a lot of stuff in as acting, so I could memorize scripts and I could perform to crowds. Um, and I'd had jobs before. I did an actual paper round.
Mm.
I had an actual like kind of like small town out of school like paper round job. It was great. It's actually where I got into Big Finish because I'd be doing those walks for about an hour, maybe 2 hours a week, and so I'd be like, well, that was like the perfect length for a Doctor Who. I quite lovingly remember buying. I think one of my first ever Big Finish sets was Dalek Universe, and I very vividly remember putting on the beginning of buying time as I was setting out on my tour and coming back home. And I remember delaying my walk, finishing up my paper round just so I could listen to the cliffhanger of that story because I was that hooked. And it was great, and so I listened to the whole of Dalek Universe like that. It's got a little special place in my heart.
That cliffhanger though, I was running
Oh
around the
my!
room to that cliffhanger.
I was doing flips. It was great, and after I did that, I went through the entire Eighth Doctor range on Spotify, and to this day it remains one of my favorite Doctor Who ranges ever. So that was really quite fun. Best way to listen to Zagreus is on a paper round, I tell you, because you're handing these old people like, oh, I sure do love. You always deliver the papers on time. I always appreciate it. I'm like, oh, no worries. And I put my earbuds back in. And there's Paul McGann going like, oh, Charlie, I love you, Charlie, but you need to kill me, Charlie. The TARDIS is a sword now, Charlie. You gotta stab me, Charlie. And you're like, what's happening? And it cuts to like Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, and Peter Davison sitting on a cloud going like, oh, this is a bit melodramatic, don't you think? And it's like, what the fuck's happening? It's great. It's 3 hours of greatness. But so I had lots of skills in which I could walk around for prolonged periods of time without getting tired or overheating, and I could memorize scripts and perform the crowd. So I just kind of wrote all of that into a CV, along with the lovely extra bit of like, by the way, I'm an absolute nerd. I don't recall everything I put on there to sell them, but I was a Doctor Who fan. But I remember one of the things I did do in school. I don't know if I did it. This is why I didn't get any good grades. But in like my classes, my friend would open up BBC iPlayer and he would pull up an episode of Doctor Who, and he would read out the synopsises for the episodes without any nouns in them, and I'd try and guess what it was. So he'd be like, the Doctor and blank go to a blank, where they see a blank and a blank, and go back in time and visit blank to find out more. And I'm like, that's Vincent and the Doctor. And he's like, how the fuck do you do this? Like, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Doctor and Amy go to a museum, they see a thing in a painting, and they go back in time to meet Vincent van Gogh. That was it. And he was like, yeah, how did you do that, word for word? And I was like, so we'd do games like that, so I had all this knowledge, and I was like, I'm a Doctor Who fan, trust me. And they were like, sure. So I showed up for my audition. I had printed out my own folder, which I do have stashed away somewhere, but it's put with a bunch of other stuff. I printed out my own folder of Doctor Who locations I had found around London in a walking area. Because I was told, like, this area specifically. So I scouted out, I found these locations, I put together an easy tour route, and then I did it, I performed it. I rocked up on the day, full David Tennant. I had the pinstripe suit, I had the shoes on, I had the sonic screwdriver, I had the tie and the shirt, and my hair's very long, but I tried my best to emulate it. And I showed up on the day, in July, in like 30-degree heat, and I performed this route. I was sat and I was like, and this is where Christopher Eccleston stands in front, stands in front of the London Eye. I'm starting to sound like Saw Gerrera, actually. I'm starting to sound like fucking Forrest Whitaker from Star Wars. But it's like, I would run through the scenes, and I'd be told, like, you're doing great, love your energy, great sort of projection. Are you okay? And I'd be like, I'm fine. Because I was sweating to death. But I did good enough. I got the role. I got to be then a Doctor Who tour guide. So I get to lead really wonderful groups of people across London. I think that there's a real kind of sadness with my job, in that I meet so many lovely people and I'm never gonna see them again. Um,
Well, you never
because I've
know.
met
BFI.
never know BFI. I actually have recommended the BFI to a couple tourists, but a lot of the time they live pretty far abroad. And they're visiting London just for a
Hmm.
trip. I think I was interacting with one couple and they said they would. I think this was their trip they were doing just before they would get married, like a week later. And I was like, oh my
Aw.
god, yeah, it was like a Sunday, and like, yeah, we're getting married this Thursday. This is our little trip because we both love Doctor Who. And I'm like, oh my god.
Aw.
And they talked about how one day they'd come back. Someday. They wanted to come back to London for another, because they didn't get to go to the Who shop, I don't think. They wanted to
Hmm.
go to the Who shop. Or something like that. They wanted to see more Doctor Who stuff. And they wanted to see more locations, and so they wanted to come back to the UK one day. And I went like, never know.
Never know.
Might do, and the likelihood of me ever seeing them is very little.
Very, very
Um,
little.
it's
But
a big city. Um,
who knows?
and
They might be
there's a
watching.
lot of time. Pardon?
Who knows? They might be watching.
They might do. Except I very rarely give out my social medias.
Ah.
That's the thing. Like I've one or two, but like most people, I do just sort of, I do just kind of part ways with them, and just sort of cherish how cool they were to hang out with. I think it's met some really lovely people. I met someone who was really into like TTRPGs and like the Magnus archives and Doctor Who as well, and we were gushing to each other for ages, and it was really lovely. And I'm never gonna see them again. I think they were from like the deep south or something.
Mm,
That's the really crazy thing. Like you see just how far Doctor Who reaches.
mm.
Um,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
it's
I've
everywhere.
met people who have, yeah, like I've met people from,
It's kind of
I can't
like
remember where in Europe, but they'd
um,
come to the UK and be like, and they would be talking to me. They'd be like,
I'm
no one in my life, no one in my country watches Doctor Who. I don't know anyone who does. I'm the only
well,
person who does it.
I'm currently based in Cardiff, and
Mm.
I went to Barry Island recently, and
Oh yeah.
people from all across the globe visit Barry Island just because Gavin and Stacey was filmed there. And then they take
Yes.
like Dave's coaches and they take it all around, and then it's people from America that come down to Barry Island solely
Yeah.
because of their love of Gavin and Stacey. It's the same principle. It's wonderful. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful sentiment.
It's they're very dedicated, and I think it's very lovely because you do just get to meet so many lovely people. It sort of starts looking
Mm.
like the kind of, I don't know, the kind of part cast for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or something, where you're just hanging
Mm.
out with people, and it's just like, yeah, we've just got like everyone from all over the world, and it's really lovely. And sometimes people talk to each other. I've had some people, usually from America, who find out they live really close to each other in America. Um, and it's really
Oh,
nice.
that's
You just,
nice. That's proper
yeah,
nice.
you meet a lot of lovely people, and they're always like,
Mm.
"Oh, I'm from Long Island," and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm like so close to there," and so some people are moving to the UK.
Mm.
Um, some are like moving to the UK, moving to London, and they're doing this as sort of like their way of
Mm.
breaking in the city and things like that. And I have told a few of them, they've been like,
Mm.
like we love Doctor Who. You told us about the shops. Is there anything else Doctor Who that goes on? And I was like, well, the MCM community show panels are always running.
That is
It's
very
I'm
true.
always, or I'm telling them about the BFI or all sorts of like
Galley
Doctor Who
cab.
conventions going on. Galley
Gallifrey
Cab, I
Cabaret.
usually bring that up.
Hmm.
Um, but sometimes it's people from London who are just finally deciding to sort of see the tour out, um, and just sort of actually get a comprehensive look at the locations. But it's really sweet. We don't do classic locations anymore though.
Oh, that's a shame.
We do them on a taxi tour. We have a
Mm.
taxi tour which does do them
Mm.
because I take people around London on a taxi. I'm actually being trained on that very
Mm.
soon. Um,
Mm.
which is very fun. And there's a lot of locations on that which aren't on the usual one. So I get to get a taxi all the way to the Powell Estate, baby. Um,
And we're back. But for everyone watching, we wouldn't have been away for more than a second. Now, there is something you mentioned, and you're going to start to regret mentioning it, because I'm going to start this part of the call this part of the interview with a game. Yeah,
Hold on.
surprise.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
They call me the
Now,
gamer.
now you mentioned one of the reasons you got the job as a tour guide was because you read BBC iPlayer synopses and you could remember what episode they were.
Oh no.
So I thought in that moment, let's put it to the test. So I'm
Oh
gonna read
no.
you.
He did not tell me about
uh,
this on the break, ladies and gentlemen.
no, no, I wanted it to be a complete surprise. Are you okay with this
Okay.
challenge? Are you okay with this game?
Hit me with it. I've needed to be humbled for a bit. Did Doctor
Okay.
Who just message me?
Huh?
Did Doctor Who just message me? I just got a message that says Doctor Who sent you a post. Am I being DM'd by Doctor Thomas Who?
Uh, oh, something on my
Oh,
end as well. I
it's
think
probably whatever.
it's.
I'll throw
Anyways,
away.
so
They heard me talk the iPlay and they started texting me. I'm leaving them on red.
hey, that
I
that's
got this.
that's next level
I'm probably out of
marketing,
practice, but I
right?
can do this.
And so, and I'll give you more clues if you ask for clues.
Okay,
Like
okay,
I'll give you an air date, for example, or
okay. Oh fuck. Okay,
or a doctor. So
okay.
here's the first one. Far in the
I'm
future,
ready.
on a tough, brutal planet, a devastated mining colony has only one survivor. To discover the truth, the Doctor and Blank must face absolute terror.
That's that's the well,
That is
isn't
the
it?
world.
That's the
That is
well.
the
That's the
world.
well. We going
Mm-hmm.
easy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it's the first
I
one.
was interested in that one since day one because that's essentially the plot of Aliens, and I was really excited about that. And they even had a nuke from orbit line in the episode, and I was like, it's
Mm.
banging. Big fan of that. It
So,
was good.
are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
The Doctor must solve the mystery of a blank that people go up but never go down.
That's the lodger.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lodger. That's
Uh-huh.
the first James Corden of the James Corden duology, as it will be credited on Doctor Who Criterion.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, these are easy. You're giving me easy
Okay,
ones.
okay, okay, okay. Who is the sinister and mysterious blank, and why is he so keen to find the Doctor?
Oh, who is the? Was it sinister and mysterious?
Yes, who is the sinister and mysterious blank, and why is he so keen to find the Doctor?
Okay, so it's an episode about a guy trying to find the doctor. So it's like a mystery person. Oh, it's an episode about finding the doctor. Oh, okay. I'm feeling immediately humbled by calling the first two very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, God, sinister, mysterious.
Let me know when you need a clue.
I'd hit me with a clue. I've got some
Mm.
ideas I'm orbiting around, but nothing concrete is sticking out.
Okay. Um. Ooh, what do I want to give as a clue? Okay, it's in the 2005 to 2022 range of Doctor Who.
Am I allowed to flip you off? Can I flip you off? Is that allowed? Oh
Mm,
God.
maybe.
Why is he so keen to find the doctor? Oh, what would be episodes about? Someone trying to find the doctor. Because I know there's episodes where things like that happen, but often
Mm.
people aren't mysterious. And often that's not the highlight of the episode. It's sinister and mysterious. It's
Who
impossible.
is the sinister and mysterious blank, and why is he so keen to find the Doctor?
Oh, I. I'm wondering if it's less of a person and more of a monster in particular. I'm wondering because it's the who is the,
Mm.
so it's like would you say the sinister and mysterious John, or would you just
Mm.
say the sinister? I don't know. Maybe you would. Maybe you would. Maybe I'm fucking myself here. Oh God. Am I allowed a second hint? Are we doing this three strikes and I'm out thing? Am I allowed a second hint? Do I get
Ooh.
a I'm unsure. I'm unsure. I'm still thinking.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a hint that I can give you. Um.
Still wrapping my head on it.
Okay, I'll give you another hint. I'll give you another hint.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
three-word title.
Okay. Find the doctor. Sinister. Oh. Ooh.
Mhm.
It's not like Love and Monsters or some shit, is it?
I mean, do you want the answer? Is that your guess?
I'll say Love and Monsters. Is it Victor Kennedy?
Who is the sinister and mysterious Victor Kennedy, and why is he so keen to find
Yes!
the Doctor?
Yes! How did I not immediately go to that one?
Mhm,
I was thinking of shit
mhm.
like, oh, would Swarm count as that? Would it be the Halloween apocalypse? I
I
was
mean, yeah,
way off. How
no.
did I not think of the one episode where they literally.
Mhm.
It's all about a group of people trying to find the Doctor. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm glad I got that one. I'm glad I got that one, despite the
I
hint.
will. I'll give you two more. I'll give you two more. So,
Okay, that's fair.
the Doctor's quest to get blank back home to Earth leads to a space station hosting blank, but a harmless note of fun soon's become a battle to survive.
That's I trying to get blank home. That is an Interstellar Song Contest, is it?
Is that your guess?
One more time. Hit me with it one more time.
The Doctor's quest to get blank back to home to Earth leads to a space station hosting the blank, but a harmless night of fun soon
Yeah,
becomes a battle to survive.
it's Interstellar Song Contest, isn't it? That's got to be.
Yes.
I
Yes,
was
it
trying to
is.
think if this would count as like a return home trip for like previous companions like Martha or
Mm,
something, but like nah, that's hosting is the real word. I was like space station. Yeah, okay,
mhm,
I got
mhm.
that one. Mm.
Okay, okay.
Lots of
Uh,
lots of very recent ones, my friend. Lots of
I
very recent
know.
ones.
Okay, okay, I'll give you a few more then. Okay. A
Okay.
Dalek fleet surrounds a lone rebel ship, and only the Doctor can help it.
Oh, that's Into the Dalek, isn't it?
Correct. Brilliant.
Banging, banging. I like
Uh,
that one.
um,
That's the only one I like out of this list. All of Doctor Who is bad except that one Dalek episode. That's the only good one.
when the Doctor meets another Doctor, the two must combine forces to stop the blank.
Well, that's well, Doctor meets another Doctor. That's probably Twice Upon a Time. There's maybe
Is that your guess?
they must combine forces to stop. What was it? Stop a blank or stop the blank?
Stop the blank.
Stop the blank. I'll say. I feel like episodes like Day of the Doctor could count if you're
Hmm.
kind of sidelining the War Doctor and stuff. I feel like it's meant to be a big twist in the giggle. That there's two. So I'll say Twice Upon a Time.
Wrong. The next Doctor.
Oh, pardon?
Do you want the answer?
Oh, yeah. Did you say Next Doctor?
Yes, it was the next Doctor.
Fuck! Oh, of course.
Hmm.
God damn it! Oh, that was a good one. That was. Oh, that was a
Okay,
curveball.
okay. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Okay, okay. This
The
is a
doc
long two.
the Doctor returns on the happiest day of blank's life, but a deadly trap awaits.
Oh, happiest day of Blank's life. The Doctor returns
Mm.
as well. Happiest day. The first thing that immediately jumped to mind was Amy's choice.
Mm.
if it's hiding the dream world twist,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I will keep it in mind. Happiest day. Oh, weddings are usually happiest days, aren't they?
That's Hissa, yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah. Weddings are usually considered happiest days as well. So is that? Oh, what episodes did Doctor go to a wedding? I'm. There's no way you've given me an episode from the Sarah Jane Adventures. There's no way.
No, I would
Um.
never do that. I would never do
Now I'm
that.
unsure. Now I'm
Yeah.
unsure. Now that you said it. Now I'm.
Huh?
Now I'm uncertain.
Huh?
Oh, it's a deadly trap as well. Someone set a
Hmm.
trap.
A
Getting
trick, if
more
you
and more
will.
worried this is the fucking wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, and you've just thrown me. I feel like that would be ridiculous for me to go all the way out on there, though. I'm trying to think of episodes where people get married. Maybe that's too narrow-minded of me. Happiest day of someone's life. Oh God, what if I got it right with Amy's choice? Oh, I'm getting too far off.
What's your guess?
Am I allowed one hint?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'll rescind that. I've already been humbled enough. I'll take a hint. I'll take a hint.
Okay, it's a series 3 episode.
Oh, okay. Happiest day. Oh God. Series 3 really narrows it down, but none is springing to mind. Why am I not thinking of it? Am I missing an episode of Series 3 in my head? Happiest day of... Oh God. Harold Saxon's life. He became PM. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Hmm. Do you want the answer? Or do you
No,
want
I
to
feel like I should be able to get this. This is a 13 episode stretch.
guess?
Why have I just memory hold this one?
Do you want the answer? We don't
I'm gonna
have.
feel so fucking stupid when you say it. So, yeah, just go ahead and say it. I don't know why I
It,
can't get this one.
it is the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith.
You fucker! You motherfucker! It was series 3 of the Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Okay, all right.
It was.
I think I should be allowed
I said
a
series
half
3.
point for being able to figure out that you were going to do that, and then I
said
thought better of
series
you.
3, but I didn't say
Yes!
series 3 of what show.
That's what fucking threw me off. I was like, series 3 is way too strong of a hint.
Yep. No,
God.
it was the wedding of Sarah Jane.
God damn it. Well,
I-
good subversion. That was smart. That was smart.
On the spot thinking.
I'm shocked I managed to figure out that you might go there. And then as I said, I thought better of you. You've disappointed me today. But
Yeah. But it was really fun though.
that was really good.
Really fun.
Thank you. I haven't done that in
Yeah.
ages.
No, that was proper fun.
It's a fun game.
I always enjoyed those games because me and my sister used to play one where she would mention a number. She would mention like series 13, episode 4, and I'd have to guess it on the spot, and I'd usually get it right.
I hate
Or-
that I also immediately got that one.
Uh-huh. But yes, so moving on from fun and games
That's
to
good.
some more discussion, some more talking, and
Okay,
talk
yeah.
with, if you will.
I talk
Um,
with, no more games with. But feel free to play more games to
You are
pass the hiatus.
You are the
Uh.
second guest I've done that with. I think Mr. Tardis was the first one.
Oh, I see.
We
Was it
went.
the same thing of guessing iPlayer titles?
No, it was.
Oh, I see.
I think it was guessing characters. Something. It was such a long time ago now. I completely forgotten. But it was really fun though. And this is this. Maybe it's something that I should integrate into more episodes. Surprise games that I think of on the spot.
That's fun. I think you should keep doing the BBC iPlayer thing. I think it's really
I
fun.
think so too. I
Uh,
think that's great. That one.
And you always throw in like one episode. It's like, sorry, that was a description of Totally Doctor Who, episode 3. So better luck next time.
So now I'm going to ask you a question that is hyper specific and one that every Doctor Who fan can answer, but maybe not most of the general public. What's your favorite TARDIS exterior?
Oh, the Arwell Jones one's really good. I You're tearing me apart here. I was literally. Oh god. Oh, they're all so good. It's such a ridiculous thing to have an opinion on. I never feel like more of a nothing makes me feel more like a Doctor Who fan than having an opinion on the TARDIS exterior, because it's one of those things where you think it's really normal, and then you ask someone, and they go, "They've changed it," and you realize you're too far in. I remember my ex. I remember I was like. I think when we started the 11th hour, I was like, "What do you think of the new TARDIS?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I like the new interior." I was like, "What do you think of the outside?" And I'm like, "They changed the outside?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How?" And I was like, "Well, the windows are. Don't worry about it." It was a whole thing, and I had big opinions on it. I'd say, oh god, I've got a lot of. I know which ones definitely aren't my favorites.
Oh yeah, which one's your least favorite?
I don't like the second Tom Baker exterior,
Yes.
which I think was like series
It's not my cup of
14.
tea. Is that
The
the one
really
with like
weird
the
squashed.
police light on it?
Yeah, the kind of rounded lamp. It's like really kind of
Not for me.
squashed.
Mm.
I never liked that one that much. That one was built, I think, a little hastily as well, because I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but the original TARDIS prop, which was designed in 1963, was used for the first 13 seasons of Doctor Who. So that was from
Yeah.
an unearthly child. I think it was like the Hand of Fear. I think it was. But it was the exact same prop. Like, I don't mean like same design. I mean
No,
the
no,
same
same
prop. It's you see it on screen in color in series 7 and 8, and it's looking rough, and then they just paint it up in series 9. But you see when anyone nudges that thing, the whole shit rocks. It's very very obviously 13-year-old wood. And I believe it collapsed on Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen during the filming of The Hand of Fear. I believe that's the set rumor, that it caved in on them, and that's why they had to build a new prop. But I never liked that second one.
Wasn't for me. I didn't like it.
What? Yeah, I did not click with it. I think the I hate that I know the design. I by the designers' names. The Tom Lardley Jones TARDIS, which was used last season of Fourth Doctor. It's actually used interchangeably in Logopolis. That's how they got the two TARDIS thing done. They had the new prop in, which was really quite cool. I think it's cool that he lands it with one TARDIS and they use the new TARDIS design as the normal police box. And then after he takes the measurements, he uses that one from then on. I think that's cute. But that one is cool. Like, that one was used for like 5th Doctor, 6th Doctor, 7th Doctor. It's like the 80s TARDIS. I think it's fine. I think it's very normal, but it feels very generic, if you know what I mean. Like, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's the TARDIS. But there's nothing, like, sticks out to me as, like, a unique detail to like. But I think aside from that, I really love the rest of them. I've been watching the First Doctor's era for the first time in full.
Oh, it's a beautiful
I've always
box, isn't it? It's wonderful, isn't it? Like, it
It's
just
so
screams
good, dude.
like the original
It's
vision of the show, like this earthly object
mm,
on another planet. It just,
yeah. I love how tiny it is. I love how it can kind of be tucked away.
mm,
I love the extra bump on the bottom of the windows, which is a stupid thing to say. I think it's really nice. I like that it feels so. It feels very. I know what the word would be. I don't think liminal. I want to use it in a sense in which like it feels very. It doesn't feel very permanent. It doesn't look like a thing that if it landed somewhere, it looks like it's been there for a really long time.
Yeah.
Everywhere it goes, it looks like it's a thing that's literally just touched down. Like, I think I like lots of it like Keys of Marinus and whatever. Which of course it is, because it's just a prop being built on a set really quick. But I think it because it seems so small and light, it doesn't seem like something that gets kind of like gets tucked down. It's there. It's like a lot of New Who props. Like the David Tennant TARDIS and the other ones. They're very big, very heavy, very solid, very kind of standard things. When you see them assemble it and it's there, it looks like it's there, which is great, and I really like it. But there's something about it kind of being a bit lighter and a bit more rickety and looking like it could just kind of a strong breeze could take it off into time and space. I think it's really cute.
Which, in
So
many ways, like episodes in the Romans, it did fell off a
it
cliff.
did exactly like it's really good. I like that aspect of it, but I like how I like how weird and run down the Eccleston Tennant TARDIS is. That thing just really fits in a really urban area of London. It really fits in like all of the little alleys and the like apartment estates it was always parking in. Like I think the whole frame feels very grisly and feels very realistic in the early series, and I think everything later on looks, I think, a bit too polished and a bit too nice. You look at, I think it's more just sort of general set design, but like you look at like Rose's apartment in like Aliens of London and stuff, with all of the relatives crowded around and the Doctor's fighting a kid with a remote on like a leather sofa, and it's like I had like family members living in houses just like that. You know, I don't know anyone who's lived in the house Cher Belinda Chandra was in Robot Revolution. They don't look that nice. Maybe she just got really lucky. But I love how sort of kind of a bit dirty and a bit sort of battered the box looks in those early series. I think that's really nice. But I think maybe it is just because it's the current one ish. But I also love the 13th Doctors.
Oh,
I love
yeah, I
I love
adore
the I love the posts. I love how it's sort of green. I think that's really weird. I love the windows. I don't know if you knew this, but they actually had a different font design originally.
Yes, I've seen.
For the public call box. You've seen that. It's I love how different they struck out with it. And the whole thing. And I love I just love all the details about it. I love how they light the windows. It's really dumb nerd stuff. I love that. I love in when Whittaker was the Doctor, I love that it had that little interior thing with that kind of walkthrough. I always thought that was quite cool. I always wanted something like that in the show, but I always wanted it that there's two doors. So there's the doors you walk in, and then you're in the police box, and then the back doors can open up into the actual TARDIS. Because I always thought, how cute would it be when the Doctor's bringing a companion? It's like, quick, in here! And they run inside and they shut it. And they look around and it's like, it's a police box. If you've never seen this interior before as a Doctor Who fan, you're like, what have they done with it? And then the Doctor's like, and then second look, and it's a knock through, and you know, it's this big thing. That would be, I would really love that. I think that would sell it to me. But yeah, I love that one. And I guess kind of have to give thanks to the TV movie one for doing that, because it kind of set a lot of the kind of design philosophies, I think, for a lot of future
And
ones.
the TV
I love
movie
the sort of
exterior, I love it. I just love it.
it's so good. It's a lovely shade of blue. I've been modeling it a lot recently for I just got posted about the other day, but I've been commissioned to do some work for George Geiger for the Fairy Tale Doctor. So I modeled. I did a big sort of redo of my Paul McGann TARDIS for that, and it was just an absolute joy to just sit down and just pick that thing apart and just find all the lovely things. I love the weird mismatched window panels on it. It was all sorts of great stuff.
In 4K was
I'm jealous.
It's just like seeing it in the
I need
original
those
like,
reference photos.
SD version that was released on like DVDs and such, or the upscaled version, but nothing comes close to seeing it in 4K. Seeing that box in 4K was genuinely one of the most defining moments, like of seeing it in 4K, was seeing that box in all of its glory. Like,
I need to steal a copy from someone. I need to steal a copy from someone badly. I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money for any Doctor Who stuff. I need to drop on my knees and just beg.
So,
oh god, yeah.
My next question and my next like point of conversation is,
of course,
how do you look back on your journey as sort of fan of Doctor Who, and how you've kind of grown to be a creative, you know, from being in a BBC ident to the Doctor Donovan.
Okay, Nardwar.
From being in a BBC
Oneness! What? Oneness. How do you know that? We have to know.
To the Dr. Donovan, to the BFI,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. How would you kind of
Yeah.
look back on your journey from that point now?
Um. I think it. I think Doctor Who is. It's. I think it's done me a lot of good. I think in some ways it's done me bad, but I forgive it. I think it's. I've literally been a fan of this show since I don't know quite how old everyone was when they got into Doctor Who, and of course everyone much older than me has been into it for a lot longer. But I've been into it since I was 18 months old.
Hmm.
Um, which is a while. It was very cute. My dad showed it to me. Um, because he wanted to scare me and hope I get really into sports. Did the exact opposite. I was hooked from Rose
Mhm.
onwards. I was really into it. Um, and I just sat what. So I've kind of been a fan of Doctor Who ever since I gained consciousness. Which is wild. Like by the time I could actually like think, I'd probably downed at least 2 seasons. Um, and it's like I always wanted to be Doctor Who when I was a kid. I remember visiting family and they bought a new bin, so they put me in it. They wheeled me around and I made the noise of the Tardis as we went around, and I'd pop out and I'd be like, "We've moved through time and space," and it was really cute. And you can only really do that with a fresh bin because every used bin is now you're literally getting in a used bin. Um, so I was like, I'll take a clean one, thank you. Um, so I think a lot of Doctor Who fans, I think when they're young, especially, they want to grow up to be Doctor Who, and that's what I want. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be Doctor
Oh,
Who,
same
like
here.
I'm gonna become them. Um, everyone thinks that, and then after a while, I wanted to be a scientist because if I could not literally be Doctor Who, I could be as smart as Doctor Who. Doctor Who knows a lot of stuff. I could do that, and then after a while, I was like, oh no, I don't want to be as smart as Doctor Who. I want to be able to actually play Doctor Who. So I became an actor. I did acting for quite a while with the hope of one day I would have a career and I would be Doctor Who. um, and then again, as I grew up and I kind of realized a lot more about stuff, it wasn't that I didn't have other factors in why I did this stuff. It's just that was always a big part of it. I loved acting. I still do love acting. I don't do it anymore, but I loved it so much, and I loved getting to get lost in characters and put on a performance, and especially kind of like make people laugh is something I always really enjoyed. And I loved the versatility of it. But always in the back of my mind was always like, and you could be Doctor Who, which was funny. Um, and then I grew up some more, and I had a film class, and suddenly I realized actually that I really liked VFX work. I originally got into VFX work because I wanted to make my own Doctor Who title sequence in Windows Movie Maker. That was the first thing I did. It was downloading that. I know you've probably seen it, but that kind of stock asset of a wormhole you can get on for the first things you get on Google. I had that, and I was photoshopping names into it. Well, I wasn't photoshopping; I was slapping them on in Movie Maker. I was doing that because I wanted to make my own fan films, and I never did. Um, but that's kind of where I started writing my first scripts. Was because of that. I was writing out scripts. I was writing out stories, and I did other stuff as well, obviously. But it was always that driving factor. And then I've learned to be a VFX artist, and now I'm a lot older. I can see the downsides of a lot of this in I think a slight lack of variety in my palette. And so I've been putting in a lot of effort, especially in the last few years, as I've had a lot more kind of time to myself, um, to branch out and see as much as I can, kind of outside of it, and outside of Who, which of course I had a lot of before, but I've had blind spots, and I've really wanted to just kind of keep going with that, but it's been a lovely sort of thing that sort of kept me on a trajectory for a lot of my life. And I think it helped me through a lot of stuff. I think in ways I didn't even realize was happening at the time. I remember I think when my friend wanted to get into Doctor Who, we watched through Ncuti Gatwa's first season, which they thought was all right, and then they were like, "What's your favorite season?" And I was like, "Oh, probably Series 8." And they were like, "Oh, well, we'll watch that one next." I was like, "Are you sure? Just jump right in?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll go with it." And we watched Deep Breath. By listen, they were explaining to me how good 12 and Clara were, and I was like, it speaks for itself, you know. But like, I remember watching Deep Breath and just being deeply touched on it through a sort of trans allegorical lens. And sort of, I don't know, it's been a great bit to sort of pick apart and analyze and understand, and I think that's served me really well, and I think it's given me a lot of comfort in a lot of ways like that, in ways which, I don't know, you can often, I think, kind of repeat points sometimes, where like, Heaven Sent is about grief,
Mm.
and about loneliness. And you can say that, and you can say it's the best episode of all time because it's about grief and it's about loneliness. And then, you actually experience grief, or you actually experience loneliness, and you watch it, and it clicks with you in a whole different way, and you're like, oh, this is why. Like, this is why we say this stuff, And I think that's really lovely. And, I think a lot of Doctor Who fans, we all got bullied growing up for being a bit too into it.
What? No,
What? No
not
way.
even
I,
remotely.
of course, it was. I think we grew up in a very lovely time because I think it was at the time where it was quite popular as well. So people made fun of you for being too into it, not that you were into it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm watching fucking Stolen Earth next Saturday, but like you're like a bit too into it. You're like buying the books, It's like everyone was on that on the pulse, but like and I think so I had friends who were also into it. There's I will I had a couple friends who we were all more into it than the average person, but and all that sorts of stuff. But it's probably, maybe it's stuck with them over the years. I'm not too sure. I don't hear much, but a lot of people would just kind of they'd tolerate it. They'd be into it a normal amount, or slightly more, and they'd listen to me ramble about it or talk about it. And people still do this to this day, as well, which is very sweet. I've lots of lovely people in my life these days, and they will call me up and be like, "Law, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Doctor Who, competitive tender, catch up, we gotta talk about this." And they listen to me, and they like listening to me about it, which is nice. But I do think it was quite special. It was mostly after lockdown, really, where I kind of realized, like, there's an online community which I've sort of lurked. I was a lurker. I knew about you, Rory, years before you met me. Because I watched videos by like Davis and stuff like that, and he'd mentioned you in a couple of videos, your trip to Time Fracture, and such, which whatever crimes against whatever former whatever beloved characters,
Bloody Ood.
whatever happened in any bathroom.
Go. He's gone.
I'm sorry. You
gone.
he is very. You made sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever happened in those areas, will go unsaid, perhaps. But like I'd heard of you and all this sorts of stuff, and I'd heard of other people. George Geiger, who's now a very, very lovely friend of mine. I knew about him for years, and I never really actually engaged with fandom. It was sort of a thing happening separate from me. I'd go to cons. If I met someone at a con, they were pretty cool. I know we actually went to some of the same cons years before we met.
We did.
We've matched this up, and we just probably walk right by each other. But I never really engaged on a personal level with it. When I went to cons, I went with my family, and I would hang out with my family.
So did I, up until 2021.
Yeah, that was about the time when I did it. It was about I still remember it. October 2022. The day I got Twitter. um, but you know,
Okay.
I remember. I think it was October. I can't remember. I remember being online for Power of the Doctor airing at least. But
Yes,
you
that would have
know,
been October.
that was kind of the time when I actually kind of started engaging with fandom, a little bit more, which was very cool. I really liked it. It wasn't until I moved to London and all of my lovely friends that I had in real life all had vague ideas of where they wanted to go, and they all moved off to uni and things like that. So I was a bit more lonely. Um, and that was kind of when I started kind of realizing, I met people. I met you, obviously. You reached out to me pretty soon after I kind of moved to London,
Yeah,
just
because
to like friend of a friend kind of thing.
Dr. Jonathan
Um,
was in 2023. I know that.
End of 2023, yeah, because I think we got in contact. We're probably coming up on the anniversary, probably.
Probably,
So
yeah.
happy anniversary, Rory.
Happy anniversary.
It was roundabout now we would have met.
Mm.
But I remember you reached out like I wanted to get this trailer done. I was like, sure, absolutely. And then that was like kind of the time when like I'd always heard about the BFIs, but I'd never went. And then you were like, I'm gonna be at the next one. And that was really quite nice. So me going to that BFI, it was the Five Doctors. I remember that quite vividly.
Mm.
Was really special because that was the first time I actually got to meet people who were like me, in every sort of sense. And that was really wonderful. And that was a very special day.
You got to meet Robert
And
Sherman.
I did meet Robert Schimmel. I met Robert Schimmel a bit later. I remember I saw him at the first one,
Mm.
and I was too scared because I've gotten over it now, but I'd get stars in my eyes quite often, and I just sort of get a bit blinded. Um, and I'm quite proud of how normal I am now. um, you do just kind of get used to it, kind of like.
Yeah.
Though, like at the TV movie one, Paul McGann walked by, and I was just like, "Hiya, mate." And he was like, "I'm doing good," and he just kind of walked off. That was sort of it, and that was. And I don't know, I've kind of got over it a bit now, but I would get very like, oh my god, you worked on Doctor Who, um, which is sweet. But I saw him, I was a bit too scared to engage, and I think I wasn't until my second or third BFI that I speak to him for the first time.
Yes, I
Um,
remember.
yeah, and what I think a lot of people confused my reaction. You were the one that introduced me to him, if I remember
I think
actually.
so, yeah, yeah, because
Um, yeah.
you were, yeah,
I
you were a bit scared to meet him, and I said, come on,
Yeah, you just did that and you just
why
dragged
not?
me in, which is how you have to do it with me because I talk a lot, but I'm incredibly anxious, incredibly socially anxious, and I remember oh god, I was sat down with a couple of very lovely people that I enjoyed the work of a lot, and I just didn't know where to jump in, and I was just sat there with all. We all had our drinks. I think I'd only spoken to one person at the table. I'd spoken to Alfie before, and I was just like, oh, I know these people like from their work, but I don't know them very well.
No.
Wonderful. Hello.
Hello?
Um. Hello. Because we can just cut this out. Wow.
Mhm. Will
Um.
I? Will I? Ooh,
Maybe. Who knows?
maybe.
But yeah. As I was saying before our break. It was like I am a rather anxious person, but if I manage to get over it, I do just keep going. Because when I'd met a couple, a couple Doctor Who writers and stuff, at I work at like Big Finish and other places and stuff, and they're lovely people. But I remember I'd met Alfie a couple times. Name dropper. Ooh. But I'd met him a couple times. Lovely guy. Loves Fallout. I love Fallout too. We talk a lot about that. But like, I remember I was sort of I was helping carry drinks over. I think you were there for this. You're always there. You were there for this. I was helping carry drinks over, and we sat down with a lot of other writers, and you know, not just writers but artists in general. There was the lovely Georgia Cook, and I can't remember if I've told her this, but it was her illustrations specifically that got me into the Magnus archives, because she does this amazing Oh, she's an amazing artist, but she did these one drawing per episode for the Magnus Archives, and I looked at that and I was like, this looks like my jam, and so I had to get into it. So I was like sat with just chatting and stuff, and I wasn't saying too much because I'm like that with new people generally. It wasn't really Doctor Who. Ooh, it was just like I've never met these people before. But then like. I think after maybe like 10 minutes of complete silence, I think Georgia turned to me and she's so sweet. She just went, "I really like your trousers, by the way." And I feel so bad because I don't think I stopped talking for another 20 minutes to her after that. Where I was just like, "Oh, thank you. I got them in Brighton at this specific shop. I was with my friend. We've known each other for this long. They were really nice. And I had all the other, and I just kept going on and on and on. And like I can't button it once I've undone it. But it was really lovely getting to meet everyone, and sort of when I'm able to overcome my social anxiety, I do have a really good time. But I remember the first time I met the lovely Rob Sherman. I remember you introduced us together, which was lovely. But it was I think I remember being quite shocked afterwards, and I remember. I can't remember who I spoke to, but I remember walking back in and I was a bit kind of like worked up. And they were like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just spoke with Rob Sherman." And they kind of went, "Okay." I kind of like, "Oh, well, let's sit you down." And it was very nice. But I think there was a little bit of it was like, "Oh, you just like, oh my god, I met someone from Doctor Who." And well, I think it was a little bit that at first. I'd sort of. He said some very lovely things to me that day. Some really, really sweet things, which I think at that point in my life I really, really needed to hear. And it was something I really appreciated about him. That's the very lovely thing about a lot of. I don't know. I think it's true. I think there's a lot of infighting in the Doctor Who community. Some of it's valid. There's a couple fights, so I'm like, yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair thing. But a lot of the time we're just fighting. But I think you do just kind of realize like, oh, everyone's lovely. Everyone's really lovely. And so it was very nice to be kind of embraced. In that way by everyone, by you, and I remember Jack was so sweet when I met him for the first time, and he asked for a picture with me, and it was just, and I was just like, and I was like, really, me? We hardly spoke, and he was like, oh, but you're great, and I was like, what do you know about me? And I then fist fighted him right there at the BFI. But it was really lovely, and George. As well. George is a lovely friend, and we went to LFCC back when that was a thing. He took me to my first LFCC. It was my first kind of convention I'd went semi on my own-ish, or at least went with friends, I guess, and that was absolutely lovely. And I got to meet Kat and Nat, and of course we're frequent artistic collaborators now, and they're lovely friends. We went out to I went to Cardiff to go see like one of Kat and I's favorite musical artists, Magdalena Bay, who are fantastic, and they have a movie coming out soon. But they are. I love those albums, and I love that music, and I got Kat hooked on it. Through means I don't think I'm legally allowed to speak about for another 9 years. But I ended up showing them one of the songs, and they're like, oh, I love this, and we're kind of slowly getting to Nat. So I've just met so many lovely people, and everyone really is quite wonderful, and I think that there's a very clear line between my Doctor Who friends and my non-Doctor Who friends. I have a lot of friends who are not into Doctor Who at all, and there's a very clear disconnect. I met them all the way through other means, and they're so wonderful, and they offer me so many fresh perspectives, and they're all really talented, and it's very worrying. And I feel very I just feel very embraced, and I think very whole with everyone I've met over the last few years. And it's just been really wonderful. Just sort of, I don't know, just having a lot of people who are, I think, are also just very patient, which I really appreciate.
Mm.
Just in a lot of ways, I was doing really bad for a really long time. Because I've known I've been trans for about like 4 or 5 years now. And I only just 2 months ago got on estrogen, and that was a really tricky time, and it was just very nice to have people around me who could pick me up. That was very sweet, and just sort of deal with me when I'm a bit sort of, I don't know, suddenly burst into tears in the middle of a shopping centre in Plymouth. And they don't understand why, and I just sort of have to thug it out. I don't know. It's very nice to have. I feel very sort of emotionally fulfilled and artistically fulfilled as well. It's really nice making art, and I love making art. But there is just something very special about getting to make art with friends. Like I said, the commission stuff. Where people commission me to do all this work, and I love it. And I'm a little busy right now, but you can get me at Instagram, Tardis VFX or whatever the fuck. We can negotiate. What do you want me from? We'll get to that. I can plug myself. But I'd love to do it for free if I could, because a lot of the time I'm just working with friends as well. I think that's I love what I do, but also I'm just working with friends, and it's really lovely just to be able to make stuff with just lovely people who are also really passionate about Doctor Who, and might, also have an opinion on the different TARDIS exteriors, or something. I think it's a very nice thing to have. I feel very I've still got a long way to go, because I'm of course still very, very young, but I feel very fulfilled in a lot of ways. I think when it comes to community, not perfect, but and that's not really any individual's reason. It's more just a situational thing with me. But it's really, I feel very lovely, and I feel very grateful for Doctor Who and anyone who's ever partaken in the creation of that. More of a show, just sort of an artistic sandbox, really, to sort of inspire me and draw people together. I think it's I think Doctor Who's very cringe, and I think it's very weird, and sometimes it's quite bad. I love it completely. I love it absolutely completely. I'm showing my friends Rose and Mickey's getting eaten by that CGI bin, and I'm sitting here, and I'm just like, I hope they can make it through it, because I'd love to say it gets better in the future, but a part of what I love about the show is what we're watching right here, right now. And I just think it's a lovely, very malleable thing, and I love watching people speak through it, and I love watching people put it together. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I'd give it a B+ kids show. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, just
it's pretty cool. I don't understand why the actors keep changing. That's weird. I hope they fix that. But yeah, no, I think it's done a lot for me, and I feel very grateful for it. You can't see it right here, but I have a big wall in front of me with like the Dr. Donathon poster and photo shoots from LFCC and books. A whole shelf of just pure Doctor Who books before everything else, which is very funny. It's like, horror shorts, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dune, Star Wars. Underneath it's all Doctor Who. But all those books that have been either gifted to me for birthdays or by friends, or I've bought on my own volition and had a cool conversation with the teller. I think I bought Engines of War one time, and the guy at the till was clearly also a Doctor Who fan, because as I was buying it, he went, great Daleks in this one. Really scary stuff. And we just geeked out a bit for our favourite Daleks. And I was like, yeah, Daleks that can erase you from time. It's phenomenal. I love the way the prose is written about memory afterwards with it. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I've always wanted more stuff like that. You know, it was immediately just like, I don't know, you strike up so many conversations. When I'm doing my tours and I'm walking with a sonic screwdriver in the air, people will look and whisper to their friend like, that's Doctor Who, and they'll smile at me.
Quite right.
Or any. Yeah, no, it's really sweet. It's a very I don't know. I think it's a very lovely thing. I think I look at everything and I think of their sort of history and the connections I've sort of made through it. You know, every single time I kind of pick up like this phone, which I've had. This is everyone fucking hates this phone when I show it to them. This is the Doogie S90. Everyone hates it. Like you don't want to learn about it, but everyone hates my phone. But I've had it for 7 years, and I think about how I went to Canada and back with that. And I've gone to every convention ever with this, and all of the people that have held it. And I think about that a lot, and I think I get a lot of that out of Doctor Who as well, which I think is quite lovely. Like these lovely coasters. Do you want me to show this?
Oh yeah, by all means.
Okay.
By all means.
So
Please.
I have a coaster right here, which I got from the lovely Rory's birthday. A couple years back, which was a really lovely night out, and is one of the kind of occasions I was talking about. I don't know if you remember, because there was a lot of drinks involved. I did get a bit kind of socially a bit weird around that time, but even then I still had a real good time, and they had these custom coasters. And if you're wondering, man, the image is a bit used on that one, I wish it was better quality, well don't worry, because I did nick two from the table as they were being packed away. And I use this every single day on my desk. But I've got all sorts of stuff all over, and I really quite love it. I have right here 2 postcards. It'll be the last things I probably show off. But I've got a lovely TV movie postcard, which a guy walked up to me and just went, "You're at the TV movie," and I was like, "No, I wasn't actually. I didn't get a ticket. I walked in later." Didn't even get that out before he just handed me this, and I was like, "I'll take it, sure." And then also I have a lovely one for Doctor Who Red Twilight as well, which has the lovely Tardis renders I used on it, and some other stuff, other assets I contributed. But that's a lovely little memory of just I don't know, this really cool thing I made with my friends. I think it's just lovely to have just art. I don't know.
Well,
I think it's really beautiful.
And I think everything you just mentioned is really just lovely. It's all lovely. And I'm very happy and very, grateful that we've shared a lot of lovely memories together, from the Dr. Donophans, the proms, to the BFI.
Proms was great. So good we went twice.
So good we went twice.
So we could go, now a song's going to come on.
But no.
Just think, anyone wanted to know, we'd be like, about to play a song.
So, I think we've reached the end of this episode of A Talk With. It's been amazing having you on this episode. It's been amazing having you as a guest after 3 years when I first asked you back in 2023. We finally got here in the end.
We're a whole 2 to 3 doctors later, man. I think it was better that we waited till now, because I think we've both been doing all sorts of really cool shit in the last 2 to 3 years.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that
I don't know what I would have talked about back then.
The fact that we can talk about Red Twilight and all that now, it's
Yeah, Red Twilight wasn't even a thing.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't back then.
It didn't really exist. There was a general idea, and it's here now, and I know I'm very happy to have discussed it with you and have all that shit. Dr. Donovan was still one of the coolest things ever, and I do still really grateful you invited me out to that.
Oh,
it was really cool.
But no,
the big poster.
Yes, the big poster. I've got that somewhere over there. But so, do you have anything to promote?
Oh, I don't wonder.
I wonder what the answer to that question is.
Ultra Kill is a boomer shooter published by New Blood Interactive, made by Akita. It's
Not
it's
sponsored. Not sponsored.
not sponsored. Not sponsored. You told me if there's anything I wanted to promote. I think it's a great game. Um, no,
And
well,
that's the end of the episode. Thank you.
and that's the end of the episode.
From
But yeah, no, Red Twilight, obviously, 77 years productions. Again, I'm just the VFX girly on it, and other stuff. But I'm mostly just that really is Cat and Nuts Baby. I have an Instagram, Stardust VFX. I don't post on there often because I find Instagram really scary and weird and strange, and it feels like going to Lidl. And I just sort of get a bit overwhelmed. But I'm on there, so you can follow me on there, where I sometimes get brave enough to post something. I have a giant backlog of things that I have not posted, so I will probably get through for that. But everyone's really sweet on there, so that's very cool. I have a YouTube as well, Stardust VFX as well. I post Red Twilight, all my work I've done for Red Twilight so far. I post lots of other little leisure videos. Quite funnily enough, all of my most popular videos on that channel are JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I have a video of Dio from JoJo, which I think is sitting at like 22K, and I wonder about all the people that watched that that got very disappointed that I never did anything JoJo ever again after it. But I've got loads of other stuff on there, a couple of my other interests as well, like Alien and all sorts of stuff. Just little VFX videos I put together, so if you want to check those out, those are really cool. I'm unsure about what else to promote, but I'd say I'm on Twitter as well, and I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm giving you the trans woman pass to Dead Name the app. It's just the Lawmeister, where I sometimes wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. with a really good tweet idea. But that, so you can follow me on there, and same on Blue Sky as well. I'm pretty sure, I think. Probably. But yeah, if you want to keep up to date with anything I'm doing, because I'm working on a lot of projects as well. Like I mentioned, I'm doing some commission work for George Gydra. If you're a fan of his kind of stuff, I'm doing a bit of that. There's some other stuff I haven't quite announced yet, which is very cool. So you'll be seeing some updates on that very shortly, but I'm really excited about that, so go check that out. And lots of other stuff. So anything else I do, I will mostly be updating there. Follow me on Letterboxd so you can get mad at my reviews, I guess. I don't even review very much. Just get mad at my ratings. Get mad at my ratings. Do that. I don't like 7 as much as other people do, and I really need to talk about it more with people. But yeah, aside from that, I think that's basically it. I think.
Nice.
Pretty much. But yeah, I think that's everything. Unless I'm forgetting something major, which I don't think I am. No, on my home address. I need to give my home. I need to give the viewers my home address, of course. I live in a crevice underneath St. Paul's Cathedral.
That is very true. But yes, thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Law, for being a wonderful guest. And
Thank you.
thank
Lovely
you.
having me on.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, and thank you everyone for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that jazz. And yeah, thank you, and bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye. Arrivederci.
Bye.